Hello. Mm. Right. Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to do choking on my biscuit. Today I'm going to do some videos on how to clean wheels. We're going to do 3 variations, I think: foam method, rinseless method, foam and rinseless method, hybrid wash. And this is going to cater for, I guess, for everyone. So, what the professionals don't tell you about wheel cleaning? Go. Sorry, I was just thinking of stupid stuff. Right, let's go. Right, so wheel detailing. Oh my god, I just went up my ass. Okay, wheel detailing. So, in my bucket here, god dang it, let's start wheel detailing. And there's a whole host of chemicals you can use. First things first, bucket of water with our tools in. And then I'm just going to do I'll put rinseless wash in this one. Like so. And then in our bucket, you're going to want a series of tools. So this is for under the wales here. Little one for like lug nuts and intricate bits. I've got a little mitt to get behind the spokes, and then a barrel brush as well. I really like the EZ or Easy detail brushes. I know some people complain that the metals snap. It took many years before mine snapped, but I'm not a professional detailer, so I don't do as high a volume of cars, but I think they're freaking awesome. And then we're going to start with the foam method, which is going to be, for me, Brake Buster. But there are many other wheel soaps you can use. A lot of them have in there iron removers, which is the activating chemical where it goes purple. So you can use some of this if they're like the BMW wheels are very heavily brake dust to the max, and then I prefer as well to use a wheel cleaner that doubles up as a tire cleaner. And I know now you do get tire cleaners which are very good. And if you've been to a manufacturer to get your car serviced, or you just bought the car, chances are you're going to have an oil slick on your tire, and you will need something substantial to get it off. So with the foaming method, there's a couple of options that I like to use. I've got a foam cannon. You can use a foamer, or you literally just have it as a spray bottle. If you were a professional detailer, you wanted to be as quick as possible, I'd be using it in a foam cannon. I don't necessarily like anymore just to be sitting going. It's like, what? Why would you waste your time spraying the wheel down? But anyway, each their own, I guess. Iron removers, I don't think you. That's not an iron remover. Iron removers you wouldn't put in a foam cannon. I don't think. I mean, I don't know any out there. I guess some. I think if you've got a wheel cleaner with the stuff in it, you can put it into a foam cannon. Just be mindful that it's a good idea to probably rinse your foam cannon out every now and again, because the chemicals can break down the filters and the seals and stuff, because they are quite aggressive. Brake Buster, I think, is an alkaline solution. So it's going to kind of be a bit of a wash and talk, because I don't script these things. I'm just riffing off my own thoughts. which is why when I look at them back, I'm like, why didn't I say this? Why didn't I say that? So perhaps I should be a bit better, a bit clearer. But anyway, let's get to it. Just jibber jabber in. So method 1, foam method. Who's this for? This is probably for, I guess, everyone who has access to a hose or pressure washer. And then we're going to try and do a similar method with the rinser. So it's like a hybrid. So if you don't have a hose or pressure washer, we'll try and come up with a method of how you can do that. So let's just go ahead. I don't rinse the wheel first because it's gloss black. Any sand and grit, I don't want to blast off with a pressure washer at 1000 psi or whatever mine does. So 3 options we've got: the pump sprayer method. My pump sprayer is broken. Apologies for that. I don't really use this anymore, it's quite old. Oh my god. Hashtag fail. This is why I don't use these bloody things. Right, there you go. Pump method. So there's the foaming. And then, like, this one's busted because I've had it a long time. I don't look after it. And I left chemicals in there. And this is what happens when you leave chemicals in your foamer and you don't rinse it out and look after it. Usually it would be thicker than this. But anyway, moving on. Then we've got the hand sprayer, which I think is quite handy for fuck's sake. There we go. So I'll do, do your tyre, whatever. But so you could always do a pre-wash first. I should have started with that. Do your pre-wash first. So you can see already, this is starting to get the browning out the tyre. And I don't need to scrub these tyres an inch of their life. I know that's the fashion now, but, let the chemicals do the work for you. Anyway, so that's the tyre. And then again, you spray it on the wheels, blah, blah, blah. This is all part of the pre-wash. Or you go to your trusty faux cannon and you just see how quickly this is, Boom. Done. Let it sit. Let it dwell. And then you can see it's already putting out the brake dust. And then just let it do its thing. And then if it really gunked up, what you could have done is hit it with the iron remover first. I don't know how effective it will be if I... Look at that. It's all got like gunks in it. I don't know how effective it would be if I did iron remover on top of the foam. You'd want to do it first and then let the foam sit on top. But look, it's really... See, the pre-wash is so critical just to get the heavy stuff off and to get the grit out. That's what we want to do. Is grit equals scratches. Stones equal scratches. Rinsing the wheel off could potentially equal scratches because you're pushing stones around. Let it emulsify. Let it break down. God, that iron remover stinks. That's the only thing. That's why I love Brake Buster. It doesn't smell like freaking rotten chemicals in your face. This does have its place in your lineup, though, I'd say, because you want to decontaminate paint and stuff. But god dang, it stinks. Okay, so then we're going to give it a rinsey rinse. And also, don't forget about your barrels. So, with your foamer in there, you could do that. Or, you can, do this. Fuck that. That's excuse me. I didn't swear. But what, again, if that's all you've got, that's all you got. It's not a problem. But, isn't that so much easier? And then you can see what I like about Brake Buster as well. See, it's kind of like gone like a matte sort of thing as it's drying out. It's not a concern. Again, just make sure your tip's in. Say again, I've not said it yet. make sure your tip is in your pressure washer and give it a little test away from the car. Mine, I've done it before where it's hit the car, but my pressure washer isn't crazy powerful. But you know, you get some of the Krenzers and stuff, you press the trigger and it's like boom. I don't get that, so it's fine. Okay, so that's our pre-wash, and now we're going to go in there and hit it with the so the steam's coming out because I drove the car recently, so the brakes are probably a bit hot. If it's hot and sunny and the brakes are hot, not too bad, but just be mindful, you know, you don't want to, if you've just done a 150-mile drive, probably don't let your car cool down a bit longer. But I've only done a short trip, so I don't know why it is so hot. It should just cool down quick. I'm gibbering, I'm sorry. So now we're going to go to the contact wash. And again, you know, we've already kind of got rid of a lot of browning on here, so I could go around this again and go shh, 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 shh. But I'm just going to go the easy, quick method and use the foam cannon. You know, and that gets in the barrel, on the face. And then my technique that I like, others do other things, is to do the face first. And hang on, bear with me a moment. Got the DIY wheel and body brush, phenomenal brush, absolutely phenomenal, love this brush. So I'm going to do the face first, blah, blah, blah. Get in the spokes. Then I like to give it a little dip. And because we've got knocked off a lot of that junk at the beginning, all our tools aren't becoming like completely blackened. You know, there's still going to be some. We're trying to save our bucket a little bit until we get to the barrels, because the barrels is where all the brake dust is really going to come out. Let's get in there. And then I've got a backup as well, so you know the brush is good, but I like the mitt because then it's like an insurance. And then I use a sort of stiff brush for the tyre. You know, don't want to buck the trend really, do we? But you know, you see the slope's white. I don't need to scrub it to an inch of its life so it's not so clean. You do actually damage the tyre because the browning is part of the actual makeup of the tyre, so just be careful. And then I like to get my little mitt in here. I'm getting all the corners, look. And then you could reach behind spokes as well. Dunk in around the valve. And then your brush is then handy for, you know, in your lug nuts. And then on this one, there's tiny little holes, some kind of venting or something. And then with your little brush, you can then attack, you know, your brake calipers. This is quite tight, this one, so it's quite difficult to get in there. And then after you've done that, we're then going to go to the barrels. And the reason for this, face first, barrel second. If you do the barrels first, there's a high risk you could be pulling out sand and grit to the front of the tire or front of the wheel. And if you do that, when you start scrubbing it, you're going to end up scratching if you're not careful. So it's always best to face first, barrel second. And we'll use that same principle throughout all the different methods. And the one thing I would say with a pre-wash is if I'm washing the car as a whole, I pre-wash the whole car, including the wheels first. then that's that one step done throughout, and then I start washing the wheels. And then pick your method, you know, top to bottom, valve stem round, whatever you, I don't know if it's called valve, just call it a valve. I'm not American, but it doesn't really matter what you call it. Dust cap. And what I like about the little one, because you do get a bigger one, is it does get into the nice cracks here, but if you just work slowly, methodically, just be a bit careful when you pull it out so it's not spraying in your face.
That's what she said.
God, I put a new bottle, got a new bottle out, and it spilt down the side, and it just permanently stinks. So look, my arm. You've got to be really gentle in how you. Brake dust is savage, absolutely savage. Just got to be a bit more careful. Sort of trying to get that caliper a bit. I do want to take these wheels off, and I think what we'll try and do is what I'd like to do is to show you what happens when you do you know, these wheels are pretty well detailed. I detail these a lot, and when I take the wheel off, you can see all the bits I've missed. I think that'd be good. I've completely lost where I am. I think I've done that bit. There we go. Right, I think we're done. And then get the old big bully boy, getting around the old wheel arch. Oh yeah. I'm being a bit overly aggressive here. Just be a bit, get all around there. I like to get the top of the suspension, get whatever I can reach. There's a little bit of carpet in this, which is a bit of a pain, but there's only a small amount on this, which is good. And then I actually kind of like getting the top of the tyre as well and having a look, check the treads, check your depth of the tyre, make sure it's not an MOT failure. Then we're going to rinse. Yep. Okay, and then two options for finishing. You've got your spray on rinse off sealants, like quick beads, which is what I tend to like to use. Or when we do the other methods, we're going to use ceramic sealants or spray sealants. And then this one's easy. 1, 2, maybe you get one in the barrel, a couple in here. And then bottom up. Vegetables make a funny noise. Okay. And spray it all around. All in here. Oh, airlock. There we go. And then dry the wheel off, and then we can dress the tyres, job done. And then we can add extra protection with the ceramic sealants, or if you've got ceramic coating, even better. Let's move on to number 2. So method 2, we're going to be doing, like, if you don't have a pressure washer or a hose, I think this will be quite good for you. So we're going to use a pump sprayer, which has rinseless wash in it. A bucket has rinseless wash in it. I know there's some residual suds from our previous wash. Same brushes. And we're going to do this. So we need to do a pre-wash first. So I'm going to rinse this first. Get it all in there. In the barrel. This is very dirty, very muddy. We'll see how well we can do this. If it's really, really caked on, really heavy, you know, it hasn't been washed in 6 months, all winter, I would take it to a car place to use a pressure washer to get all the heavy stuff off. But we'll see what we can produce. And then I'm actually going to use a wheel. So you can use your wheel cleaner or an eye remover. So use your wheel cleaner with some active ingredients in there to help break down the brake dust, because while the Ritzus is very good, it's not going to go crazy. And then use a bit of wheel and tyre cleaner or whatever your preference is. So if your car is detailed regularly and it's highly protected, you could just use a Ritzus wash to knock off the worst of it. But these are relatively dirty wheels, so you can kind of see at the bottom it's dragging it down. Add a bit more if you feel like you need to. Just be careful you're not downwind, because it's disgusting. And I'm just going to let it sit, let the chemicals do the job for you. Yup. Right, and then we're using our pump sprayer for the rinse. Okay, because we don't have the hose, we don't have the pressure washer, let's use what we've got and see how we get on. Now you are going to use more solution with this, obviously, because so you see it's pulling it all off. Right. I mean, in the wheelbarrow, I mean, it's plastic. You don't really need to worry about it too much. But we're just trying to get as much of the brake dust off as we can, and the grit. And you know, you can get the more powerful garden ones. You know, you can get the ones with a freaking backpack, Ghostbuster. There we go. Don't skimp on the rinse. Okay. And now it's kind of already, you know, now it's already got a Ritzus wash on it. With the rinse process, you know, it's ready to go again. So we don't have to reapply more product. So we go straight in there, wheel and body brush. We can start knocking off that brake dust, and then, you know, do a bit of that. The more stuff, the less stuff we have on the brushes, more encapsulation we do, the less risk of scratching our wheels. You know, and we're doing what we can. You know, I know this isn't perfect. I know pressure wash is more efficient, hose is more efficient, but we're doing what we can with what we got. Is that right? You know? Here we go. Knocking that. I'm doing this extra sort of process on here, try and knock off any bits, then it's going in my bucket. My bucket has a grit guard. Get in there a bit, right, and then we're going to get the brush in there. And then I get my mitt. Use warm water as well, it's cold. You can see, I don't know why this back wheel gets a lot of brake dust on it. And then dip regularly. Double dip in. Oh, Jesus. Again, we do the front before the barrels, so you're not drawing out more stuff on the front. go. And then, you know, you can hit the tyre. Now, you could, if you were having if your tyre was really brown and disgusting, you could hit it with some cleaner. Well, let's do that. Let's do it. There you go. We'll do half. I've got my cleaner. You know, we're using our pump sprayer, remember? So I was just trying to limit the amount of foaming and stuff. And then barrels. Let's start. You can see it pulling it out. So you see then, as I pulled it out, see all that brake dust that's coming down on the face of the surface. If that is sand and grit and all the other stuff you get built up in your wheels, mud, then that is coming onto the face and you risk scratching. And maybe we don't need the third method. You know, I think if your wheels are lightly dusted, hit it with the rinseless and clean it off. And then, you know, if you've got pressure washers and hoses, use them to your benefit. This is great. And make it fun for yourself, you know. It should be fun. It shouldn't be a chore. You've just got to work out how you're going to make life easy for yourself, which is challenging. And then you've got your big boy in there. The investment is difficult because you've got to invest in the brushes, and the brushes aren't cheap. And you see here from doing the fender wheel well, see all the sand and grit that I've just knocked down onto here. So I would do this last, because you're going to be dropping grit on the paint on the wheel, and then that's painted, that will scratch. Try not to do it, and then I know, give it a bit of a rinse, knock it off, put it back in your bucket. All right, and then we've done the barrels, done the face, done the lug nuts, and then we're just going to rinse. So remember, this is a bit more time consuming because we're going to have to use the pump sprayer, but you know, it is, again, like I was saying, we've got to do what we got. And there's still a bit residual smell. Yeah, I mean, this isn't going to get all the heavy stuff off from your wheel well, but enough so that you can. So because we did knock all this sand from in here onto the tyre, you can see the little dots of grit. Okay, so just try and knock this off. Don't skimp on the rinse. I know you're going to use more buckets, so you might have to go and get a couple more, and it is more rinse solution, I guess, but you know, start your more rinseless. There we go. So that's pretty good. And then dry the wheel with a cloth, blower, whatever you've got handy, or whatever you've got in your facilities. You could try, I don't know, I've never tried this before. Let's go. Let's see how this works. There you go. Boom! It does work. Oh yeah. So you go, quick beads and rinseless. I don't know if the rinseless is going to break it down. It might affect the longevity of the protection, but we'll have a pump sprayer with just water in it. It's water activated. It's just that I had the pump sprayer to hand. And there you go. Because it is rinseless in here, if you let this dry, you will have water spot. You'll have polymer deposits on your wheel. If you've got matte wheels, I would probably use water, because I have seen situations where a rinseless wash has left marks on the wheel, like water spots. It could just be that the water is really hard and the rinseless is sort of struggling to fight against it, but I'm not naming any products. And yeah, I'm going to cheat, look. And yeah, there you go. 2 methods: hose and pressure washerless, using your pump sprayers, and then the fun foam rinse foam cleaning method. Thanks for watching. Let me know how you do your wheels. Let me know how you like to dress them, and then in a minute I'll maybe do a fly around of the finished wheel. You've probably seen this car too much, but let me know in the comments what you like, what you do, and thank you very much for watching.